Hello, everyone. Good evening from Tokyo. Today, I have a great pleasure to speak with Jo Raghvani. She is based in London. Hi, Jo. It's very nice to meet you, and thank you for being part of our community. Because we don't have so many female entrepreneurs who are in a property business, so I'm very happy to hear more about your story. And as you can imagine, my first question is: can you share a little bit more about your background and how you became who are you today?
Yeah, sure. So I'm born in the UK. I'm a first generation British Indian. My parents came to the UK from East Africa in the early 70s. So I was born in London. I grew up in London. I followed the traditional path of go to school, go to college, go to university, get a degree. And that was the path that my parents obviously had aspirations for me to follow, which I did. But it was quite a strict upbringing. So naturally, that led to a little bit of rebellion, shall we say? I went to university. I got a law degree. I ended up working in a corporate environment for about 20 years. During that time, it got worse in terms of the stress, the workload. I started suffering from burnout during sort of mid-30s. I suffered bullying in the workplace from senior management. And I kind of realized that I wanted to do more. I knew that I wanted to be more and I wanted to experience more in life. So I was basically living to work as opposed to working to live. So shortly after my 40th birthday, I was sat in front of my GP, in front of the doctor, to be told that I was a heart attack waiting to happen because of the stress of work. And that was a light bulb moment, I guess, where you kind of take a step back and you think, what do I really want? And if I carry on this way, then I'm probably not going to see another 5 years of my life. So I need to take control and I need to do something differently. So I started exploring a little bit about what I could do. And for me, property had been something I was always interested in, but I didn't know how. And I always thought, well, you need to have lots of money to invest in property. So it's not for me. So I went to a seminar, and this seminar led to another seminar, and I could just see that there was a different world. And there was a very small minority of people that knew about this world, because the majority of the population, 99% of the population, just follow the path. And I always knew that I was different. I always knew I wanted something more. So I invested in myself. I invested in education to learn how to invest in property. I got myself a mentor. I surrounded myself with a great network. I started feeding my brain with positivity. I entered into a world of personal development that I never even knew existed. I started reading the right books. I started going to networking events. I started doing personal development courses, and at the same time as getting the property knowledge, and then with the help of my mentor, started buying. So 6 months after I went into that first classroom to take my first training course, I bought my first property. And then it just rolled from there. I had the pleasure of sacking my boss 9 months later, which was fantastic. So that's kind of the background of how I've ended up here. But I think it was this realization that I wanted more from life.
Mhm.
I work very, very hard, but I like to play hard as well. I'm continuing to learn every day. I've learnt not to be a control freak. I've learnt to have and rely on and use the amazing people in my team. And just developed this resilience that wants me to keep going and wants me to keep improving and growing, not just in terms of the property and finances, but also as a human being, as an individual, so that I can go on and fulfill my purpose. I guess the finances, the income allows me the time to do what I really want with my life. And 7 years ago, I would never have imagined I would be in this place. Never. So yeah, and I love what I do. I absolutely love what I do. I
Mhm.
had a six-figure salary, but I knew nothing about finances. I knew nothing about assets. So I was spending everything I was earning.
Mm.
So when I bought in the run up to buying my first property, I didn't actually have any money. So I have worked with private investors. I was taught how to raise money, how to get really creative with how I could work with investors, private investors, as well as taking advantage of institutional lending as well. So, with all of the learning and the right people in my team, I was able to buy that first property without any of my own money. And pretty much everything I've done since then, I have done with other people's money, with investors. Um, and if I just said a few minutes ago that I thought I couldn't invest in property because I didn't have any money. And that was the biggest revelation for me, is that, yes, property investing does require a lot of money. It just doesn't have to be your own. And it was such an eye opener for me. And that is what has allowed me to just build the portfolio and, to buy that first property. It was the hardest one. It was the
Yeah,
hardest
yeah.
property I've ever bought, because the first one is always the hardest. And then everything else was just repeat.
Now, what wake up you in the morning? You already said, like, you are happy on the position where you are now. The
Yeah.
business is going well. You are doing what you want. But what wake up you in the morning, and what is your passion at the moment?
So I think if I were to strip everything else away, um, in terms of my own personal values and my belief system, it's all about helping other people. It doesn't matter how that happens, in whichever small way that happens, but giving back to people in any way that I can. So, the company that I trained with to do my property training with, I went back as a consultant to that company after I had achieved my first set of goals,
Mhm.
to then help them and support them on their training events, to motivate and inspire the next room of students. I then went on to become a public speaker with the same company. I then went on to build up a coaching business within property to help people maybe who were just starting out, or maybe who had bought a few properties and were ready to scale up the business. So, I started coaching people. And then a year and a half ago, I also started running a networking event in the region in which I live in England, in East Midlands near Derby. So I run a networking event there, which is a monthly event for anything up to 100 people. And they are property investors, young and old, male and female, people who've never bought a property, right up to people who've got, years and years of experience. So for me, it's about helping other people. My bigger passion underneath all of that, and which is why the invitation to join your amazing community is fantastic, is I want to help women. I haven't, I'm an Asian background, grew up in in England, in a white country. I've had to work really, really hard to get to where I've got to. But I'm aware that I've also crossed many boundaries in my own community, within the culture. And I think that women should realize that they can be whoever they want to be, and whatever they want to be, and that society and culture and tradition should not dictate how they show up on a daily basis. So, if a female has, the only aspiration a female has is to be a mother, well, that's okay. Be a mother and be the best mother you can be.
Mhm.
If you want to be a CEO of a fantastic, massive organization, and you don't want to get married and you don't want to have children, well, then you should be that as well. But nobody should tell anybody what they can and can't be. But then what I also realized over the last couple of years is that that should equally apply to men. And I think that in the last few years, it's really come into the spotlight that men are equally under so much pressure to be a certain way, to man up, to show up, And, with the sort of recent numbers and headlines about male suicide and depression rates being on the increase, I think the same applies to men as well. And I think, people are sort of pigeonholed into boxes because society thinks they should be a certain way. And people actually forget that they should be living in a life that fulfills them and, fulfills their own passion and purpose. So I think I just generally want to help people, raising awareness of how important mental well-being is, as well as, money's great, lifestyle goals are fantastic, having designer labels, if that's what you want, is fantastic, staying in 5-star hotels is amazing, but actually if you don't have peace and happiness within, then none of that really matters. And you mentioned it earlier about, the fact that we are currently all over the world in various stages of lockdown. And I really hope that COVID-19 has helped people to kind of really take a step back and truly figure out what's important. So, yeah, the passion really is just about helping other people. I can't change the whole world, but if I can change and help and inspire and motivate one person at a time, then, that's great.
That's your impact. Absolutely. And I like what you said, like about this current situation, and it's a decision. I think it's a personal decision, like how we're gonna approach or how we're gonna respond on the crisis. The one thing is for sure, if you are if you have enough money during the crisis, is actually great opportunity, because then you can maybe invest in some business on a cheaper rate than usual. Like even in properties, the price is going down, so you can buy something which when the market will go up, so you can make money on the difference. So definitely money will not hurt anyone in our community or outside of our community, because they give you like the freedom of choice, which I think is very, very, very important. Not just like dreaming, you can actually make decision with your life, with your business, and then of course you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Or at least much more than if you don't have money. So how do you helping your clients, so for the people who are interested in learn more about how to invest in a first property, or maybe how to invest and how to be on that stage that they give themselves permission, okay, I'm gonna find a way how I'm gonna invest, even if I don't have maybe that amount of money on my bank account or my bank accounts. So how do you work with them, and like who they are? So who are your ideal clients?
Okay, so in my business, I have lots of clients. I consider the people who live in my properties, my tenants, to be my clients.
Yeah, for sure.
I consider my estate agents and the management agents who look after my properties to be my clients. I consider my coaching clients to be my clients. My investors are my clients. So, I think in terms of how does my
stakeholders, you have all different.
Yeah, exactly. So all of them are my clients, so I want to benefit them all in different ways. For me, in terms of being a responsible and ethical investor and a landlady, my tenants come first. I want to provide good, safe, clean, quality housing for the people who live in my homes, because they choose to rent. That doesn't mean that they don't deserve to live in a nice house. And in the UK, and as I'm sure throughout the whole of the rest of the world, there are so many bad landlords out there and people living in substandard quality accommodation. So I want to be a socially conscious landlady. And the sort of the second part of that is I also do a lot of housing for social housing for vulnerable tenants. So emergency accommodation for homelessness, accommodation for people who have mental or physical disabilities, because they're the groups of society that often get left behind.
Yep.
So whilst I have private renters who are professionals, young families, etc., I also have tenants that are vulnerable tenants. So it's my way of giving back to the community. So my tenants are first and foremost. My coaching clients, of course, I love seeing the growth and I love seeing their confidence build in front of my eyes. knowing that I had a part to play in that, I can share my experience, I can share my knowledge, I can steer them in the right direction, I can help them shape their goals, I can educate them, can motivate them, they see what I'm doing. And the reason why I mentioned at the beginning is that I am a property investor and I'm still continuing to invest. Is I can't coach people in that arena if I'm not doing the things that I'm talking to them about.
Of course.
So just watching them grow, I've walked the walk. I'm continuing to walk the walk, and so I'm qualified to motivate and coach and help others in that space. My investors, so I have private investors who work with me who invest money and they're hands off. The hands off investors, they may have 100,000, 200,000. They invest it into my business and they get paid an annual return.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to do anything, but the banks don't pay anymore. So if you have savings in the bank, I can offer 5, 10, 15 times more interest than people are earning in the bank. Or, if they're medium to high net worth people and they have some, if they're financially savvy and they have some financial intelligence or some investment background, then, there are opportunities to work with people on a joint venture basis as well. So I do both.
Mm-hmm.
So my investors earn from me, from what I'm doing here in the UK, and they can be international because they don't have to be hands-on. They don't have to be in the UK. So, my investors are really important. My agents are really, really important. Estate agents, because I buy properties through them. And my letting agents, my managing agents, because they manage my properties and I pay them a fee. They are service providers. And if they didn't have people like me,
Mm-hmm.
then they wouldn't have businesses. So, they're massively valuable as part of my team as well. So, when you say stakeholders, yeah, stakeholders, all of them are my clients and they all bring something, but I know what I bring to them and what benefit and that value I add to them is either helping them grow as individuals personally or helping them grow their existing businesses. I don't do much in my business at all, to be perfectly honest with you, Ed. I have 2 jobs. One is I go and I find the deals and I negotiate the deals. That's the part that I really, really love. And the second part is then I work with investors to raise the money to fund the deals. I have agents, I have solicitors, I have my accountant, I have my finance brokers, I have my builders, my project managers, my architects, all of those. I have the team. So I guess I'm the puppet master. And I love the fact that I've managed to systemize my business to such an extent that I can be as hands-on or as hands-off as I want to be. Because I can be hands-off, that means that I can add value to those people in my team and to my coaching clients and to my investors.
Sounds amazing. And for the members in our group who are based in the UK who might be interested in your business, what is the best way to approach to you? Your website, personal email, or
personal email, Instagram, Facebook. So one of the things I haven't done, Ed, is I haven't actually built a website.
Mm-hmm.
For me, with my stakeholders, it's more about building relationships.
Sure.
So I haven't got a flat website which they could go onto the website. They could maybe see a few examples of the types of projects I've done.
Yeah.
But it doesn't tell them anything about me. It doesn't give them a real flavor, enough of a flavor, because I build my business on relationships. And I won't just get into business with somebody as an investor just because they've got $1 million, 2 million, 3 million to bring to the table. Because actually I might not like them. I might not connect with them. And I might not want to do business with them. So for me, it's more about building relationships. So, people can make contact with me through my email address or through my Facebook or follow me on Instagram. I can share those details with you and you can pop those up.
That was my question. Just what is the best way to reach out to you? So so we will leave that your Facebook, Instagram, and email. So for all of you guys who are based in the UK or who want to reach out to Jo, please be free to do so on her Facebook, Instagram, or email. And also, during this crisis, at least I'm talking from the perspective in Japan, in the property market, the trend is that people want to move from the big cities or buy the property second home somewhere nearby ocean or in the nature. Is that
Yep.
similar trend in the UK? Or
Yes, definitely. I think, I think the landscape of how people will be working
Mhm.
coming out of the current crisis will change. I think employers will use different methods. Um, but I mean, I don't invest in city centres anyway. I invest on the outskirts, and not everybody can afford to live in the city centres anyway. And you're quite right. People who, I mean, I lived and worked in London for 20 years,
Mhm.
in the city of London, but I lived outside of London.
London. Mhm.
So I'm one of those people that valued and liked the fact that I wasn't living in that hub. But yes, people have second homes. People don't want to live in city centres. A lot of people have the working from home arrangement already, and they maybe only need to commute into the office once or twice a week.
Yeah.
And I think those working patterns will definitely shift as we start coming out of the crisis. Now things are starting to open up here in the UK. Businesses are starting to go, offices are starting to get back to work. It is going to be many months before we're back to any sense of normality, whatever normal means.
Yeah, that's whatever normal means. Yeah.
But I think employers will be changing their view, and I think a lot of people will also be taking a step back and reflecting on. Actually, I've had this job for the last 5, 10, 15 years. Do I really want to do that anymore?
True.
Do I want to do that 1 hour, 2 hour commute to the office, to go to a place that I don't enjoy being in, to surround myself with people that I don't like, and for what?
Yeah.
So, I think a lot of people will, things will definitely change. The market is so buoyant here at the moment. The property market, we opened up about 2-3 weeks ago with the agents were allowed to open up.
Mhm.
And the property market is crazy. It's a seller's market at the moment. People are obviously making decisions about where they want to live.
Yeah.
If you spent 3 months locked up in a house that you don't actually like,
So true.
you want to move now. You've
Yeah.
been, or unfortunately for a lot of people, maybe, relationships will have come to an end as a result of 3 months of confinement.
Yeah, property market is so interesting because even if you have a lockdown and 3 months nothing happened, but actually that's completely changed and that flow is changing. So after the 3 months, actually dynamic. So in the long term, actually is always active. So that's
Yes.
what I learned about the property market.
Yeah.
It's like crisis is actually not so bad for the property investors. Actually, it's opportunity because people they think and rethink, and they you just have to understand
Yeah.
what is the trend. And
Absolutely. I can't wait for the next recession, Ed.
Great.
More millionaires are
Yeah,
created during a
yeah.
recession than any other time. So,
So,
and
I just want to say in a positive way, guys. Who are
100%, of course,
yeah.
of course. No, as an investor,
Yeah,
it's not nice to go through a recession. Of course, it's not. But from an investment perspective, it's like you say, being skilled and armed enough with the knowledge and the tools and techniques to look to identify the opportunity and take advantage of it.
Actually, what I would like if women who are watching this and even men who are watching this and who are entrepreneurs and they maybe struggle because of the problem with the cash flow because the industry may be hit. But if you're an investor, you are just thinking, okay, this doesn't work. Okay, this works. So I will put my money here. And that my money works again for you. But if you just have one cash flow, then that's very risky strategy. And I'm so happy that actually you pointed that you are looking for the new recession because that's the position where I want you guys to be for the next recession. And now we have even somebody who can share a little bit secrets how to get there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much for this interview. It was amazing. So we have now landlady in our group, and which is amazing. So it's nothing scary about money if you know how the money works. So please maximize the opportunity which we all have now to learn from Joe, and also to change our mindset in terms of what is possible, what is not possible, and why should we do something which we don't enjoy and we don't have money for return. Like it's a crazy. And unfortunately, many of us have to reach that like momentum that we understand we don't have enough time to keep doing what we don't like.
Yeah.
So thank you so
My
much.
pleasure.
Thank
Thanks, Ed.